go through the slide deck. We're going to have a live demonstration, but here we can kind of get started. So who you're going to be hearing from today? Myself, Andrew Knox. I'm the Vice President, Sales and Marketing here at MSI Data. I have my colleague, Tyler Hart, Solution Engineer on, who will be going through the live demonstration later on. And so you're stuck with the two of us. I hope that's okay with the group, but you're stuck with the two of us today. We have some good stuff planned. Hopefully you find it informative. The agenda. So overall, we're going to go back to the basics, like I said earlier, just defining what business intelligence is. Again, if you're new to data and analysis or just business intelligence, known as BI, we'll define that, right? We'll go through that. The benefits of BI, right? What are some of those benefits, right? Value of a business intelligence module or platform. Some critical stats, key performance indicators that you can track with the Service Pro business intelligence module and platform. And then Tyler will take you through a live walkthrough of being able to track some of those critical KPIs and some of the dashboard views that you'd have access to with the platform. So I found this quote, found it to be a little funny, from Jim Barksdale. And, you know, if we have the data, let's look at the data. If all we have are opinions, let's go with mine. I know my team could probably think that that might have come from me, but no, came from Jim Barksdale. So thought it was a funny quote to get us all started. And yeah, we can dive right in though. So let's talk business intelligence. Let's start at the beginning, right? Got this from CIO, which is a pretty reputable source. There's a lot of different variations of this, but if we just define business intelligence, BI, right, as it's easily known, the acronym for business intelligence, is a set of strategies and technologies for analyzing business information and transforming it into actionable insights that inform strategic and tactical business decisions. So if I summarize that for you, right, it's having the technology to be able to gather and analyze the data, and a strategy, right, and a method to do so, but then turning that data into decisions, right, using that information to make informed or data-driven decisions. So that's the definition of business intelligence. That's what we wanted to start and ground this conversation with. So now let's talk about some of the benefits of using a business intelligence platform or having access to the data within your organization. Reduce cost, right? Being able to reduce cost by making more informed or data-driven informed decisions, right? So reducing those costs. The other way that I see this happen from time to time is the amount of time it takes for a lot of folks to pull different data down or reports down and then marry them together for, could be weekly leadership meetings, or it could be quarterly business reviews, or it could be board presentations, right? But time is money, and there's a cost, right? It might be the cost of your time more so in this scenario, but reducing that cost is being able to focus on maybe more profitable tasks, right? So taking that more manual, time-consuming task, right, and turning it into something that's a little bit smoother and easier. So reduce cost is one of the bigger benefits of having access to your data through a business intelligence platform. The next one, data-driven decisions, right? A lot of times the old saying is go with your gut, but a lot of times people say trust, but verify. Right. So I like to say you can do both, right? You can trust your gut, but then you can verify with the data, right? So you think back to the quote that we shared earlier, you know, being able to make data-driven decisions or more well-informed decisions, right, will offer better results, right? So those data-driven decisions, you know, just this definitely is a benefit of having access to the right level of information. Rapid analysis and quick action. I kind of covered this through the reduced cost benefit, but when you think about right now, if you had to pull down, a list of a bunch of different data points and scroll through and comb through yourself, that's going to take a lot of time. Well, technology's been improved over time, and right now, a lot of different business intelligence platforms and a lot of different technologies take that analysis and put it through a rapid fire. And so being able to do things a little bit quicker, a little bit more quickly, to be able to make quicker decisions or take quicker actions against that data is definitely a benefit of using a platform. Increased organizational efficiency, having folks focus on the right tasks, right? Don't take time out of your day to do things that technology can come in and help with, right? It's not about removing, people from their seats, but it's about letting them focus on different parts of the business or other things that they should be focused on, right? You could say more revenue generating activities is what my CEO would say. Focus on the more revenue generating activities. So making those folks that are doing various tasks throughout the day more efficient. Intuitive dashboards and reporting, right? Dashboards in general in this statement is super, super beneficial. So when you go into a business intelligence platform, and you'll see this later from Tyler, but if you go into a platform, not only do you have the ability to see the data or export it into a CSV or an Excel file, right? Which is all good, but you can start creating dashboards to show different graphs or charts. And then not only do you have access to the data, but you can almost easily make a decision or at least make an analysis or a determination based on the chart and what it's showing you. Could mean green is good, yellow is something to be concerned about, red is bad, or it could be a bar chart that shows you different sorts of data sets. But the intuitive dashboards definitely is a benefit of using a business intelligence platform versus not having anything in place. And everyone says there's increased employee satisfaction and increased customer experience, right? From the employee side, it's letting them focus on tasks that are more beneficial, right? It's not having them comb through data. It's using the technology to do a lot of that hard or more mundane manual work, right? From a customer experience side, if you think about your employees being able to focus on more customer focused tasks or revenue generating tasks, the customer experience downstream will also go up because you can focus on different things for your customers versus behind the scenes, behind a desk, crunching numbers or going through Excel spreadsheets. So increase in the employee experience and satisfaction, and then definitely downstream effect is your customers will have an improved experience as well. So a business intelligence platform or a technology will have that effect once you put that in place. Gives you a competitive advantage over people that are not using a technology platform today or not having the ability to make data-driven or informative decisions. It is a competitive advantage that would differentiate your company or organization from others in the industry. Lastly, more revenue and profit, right? Being able to analyze what branch is doing well, right? Why are they doing well? It allows you to not only understand which branch is performing or which technician is performing more efficiently than others, but then you can start analyzing why that branch is performing better than your other branches or why that technician is more efficient than others. And then you can start replicating that across your other branches or your other technicians, right? And then again, downstream effect is you'd be able to make all the other branches perform better or all the other technicians perform better. Again, just 2 KPIs when we talk about revenue and profit. When you start looking at having access to that data, you can do a lot with it. So these are just 8 benefits of using a business intelligence platform that I wanted to cover today. There are several more, but these are 8 that I thought were really critical, really important to share as we highlight, if you're not using anything today, why you might think of using something in the future. Some critical stats in field service. Now, it's no secret that, as the person responsible for sales and marketing, right? we're a field service management solution company, right? We're a technology company that provides a technology platform for field service organizations. And so I wanted to focus these KPIs around service-oriented or focused organization. Now I'm going to go through these 6, but Tyler's going to highlight them at an even more in-depth level with his live walkthrough. So the first one, technician utilization, right? How efficient are your technicians? Are they driving too much? Are they taking the wrong route? Are they slow on the job, right? It should take 2 hours, but it's taking them 4, right? How efficient are your technicians? And then again, it's not necessarily to create a naughty list, right, of technicians that are underperforming other technicians, but it's to learn from the ones that are efficient or having a high utilization rate. How can we help improve others? How can we show, folks that are taking a little bit longer or struggling, right? So it's not necessarily a negative thing, but it's being able to access that information to learn which technician has the highest utilization. What are they doing that we could replicate across the rest of them, right? But if you don't have access to that data and you think it's just with your gut, this tech's the best or the most efficient or has the highest utilization, right? You could be wrong. The data doesn't lie, right? If you have good data, it will give you good results. First time fix rate. How often are you going on jobs with the right equipment or sending the right technician, right? Are you fixing things in the first trip, or you have to have multiple truck rolls, right? So being able to track that first time fix rate and analyze, am I doing well as a service organization, or are there areas we need to improve upon, right? And then it's taking that information to dig into the why, right? It could be, why are we doing so well, or why are we underperforming in this, right? In this area. Customer satisfaction. Again, this is one that all organizations want to improve upon or have a high score for. But after you finish that work order or that service trip, right? Are your customers satisfied with your performance or the work that you performed on their piece of equipment? Being able to track that, right, is super, super important for the health of your business, right? It helps with maintaining, right, that recurring contract, that recurring customer. And so customer satisfaction is a critical service KPI, that we would encourage everyone to be tracking. Average technician travel time, right? 4th one. So how often on average are my technicians in the car traveling from site to site? Do we have the optimal route set up? Am I scheduling jobs in the right sequence, right? Sometimes the sequence isn't always up to you, right? There's contractual requirements, there's emergencies that come up, but, right, on a whole, on average, right, what is the technician travel time? And are there areas we can improve upon that from a scheduling or routing perspective, right? And so being able to have access to that data will show you if there's areas for improvement, which again, downstream will help you in many different ways. As it relates to this, webinar, it would be more profit, more revenue. PM on-time completion rate. Again, how often are we completing our preventative maintenance trips on time, right? Are we behind? Are we ahead of schedule, or are we good? But if you don't have the ability to view that data dynamically, you don't have access to the information. And lastly, and again, these are just 6, not all or the only critical stats in field service. Again, I want to make sure I highlight that. These are just 6 we want to highlight today together in the 30-minute time spot that we have together. But 6th and last is average response time, right? When we get that work order, how much time is it in between when we start that job? Do we have a good average response time for our customers, or do we need to improve upon that? What are our contractual commitments? What are we marketing on our website saying that we respond in, right? And are we meeting those? And if we're not meeting those, is that costing my company money in penalties, right? And being able to track that is super important for folks that are tracking that KPI. So average response time. And so these, again, are just 6 critical KPIs or stats in field service that a business intelligence platform or module would be able to help you track, right? It's not only gaining access to the data, but it's tracking it, it's understanding how to improve upon it, and then moving from there. But now I'm going to turn this over to Tyler who's going to kind of start walking you through a live business intelligence demo of these different dashboards. And so with that, I'll pause. I'm going to let Tyler take over, and he's going to pull up the Service Pro Business Intelligence dashboards.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew. And so as we think about how does Service Pro tackle business intelligence, we're going to dive in. As we pull up the solution, what we're seeing on screen is what we call the Service Pro back office. This is where, as an admin user in the solution, you can streamline all of your operations, of course. In fact, we see some of those operations up top, whether it be managing your work orders, managing your service agreements and preventative maintenance schedules, managing the scheduling of your technicians. It all resides within the back office. But as we have those tools in place and we're streamlining those processes, how do we then measure and benchmark those processes with Service Pro in place? That's where we have business intelligence. As we look at the screen here, upon logging into the back office, we actually see business intelligence front and center, provided within multiple visualizations in a single dashboard. Now, as we look at these visualizations, a quick call out is this is something where we actually have 6 dashboards that we can stand up within your instance of Service Pro, so you don't even have to build anything from the get-go. We call these off-the-shelf dashboards. And so that way, as you get started using Service Pro, you have some dashboards and visualizations to start benchmarking efficiencies and even finding inefficiencies right when you start using the solution. Now, in this case, Andrew had talked about 6 critical KPIs that business intelligence can provide us visibility into. In fact, we see some of those KPIs within the visualizations that we see on our dashboard. As we look at some of these KPIs, the question may be, well, how is Service Pro helping calculate that data? How is it capturing it? How is it calculating it? Let's dive in. The first metric that we'll talk about is technician utilization. You may hear it as labor utilization. We call it technician utilization. But as we think about this metric here, this is where I'll go ahead and I'll just quickly open up the data. Because the data itself is being pulled from the Service Pro solution. It's not being pulled from another solution and then funneled into the business intelligence reporting. No, it's all just coming from Service Pro. And so as you generate your orders within Service Pro, as you schedule them out to your technicians using the Service Pro mobile application, your technicians will then be able to enter in that labor against the work order. And business intelligence can then pull in that labor data to give you calculations. In this case, when we think about utilization, what we can do is look across a time frame, maybe in the last 90 days or 2 weeks or whatever you configure. But in this case, we can run a total billable labor hours sum and take that sum and actually calculate it off of whether it's non-billable hours or maybe a constant 80 hours for a payroll period. But as you look at this data, something to keep in mind is we'll actually train you how to use this tool so that way you can go in and actually build out your own calculations as you see fit within your organization. I'll pull up the calculation that we're using here for labor utilization to highlight the point that although we have some off-the-shelf visualizations with their own calculations, you can come in at any time and change those calculations because again, maybe you track utilization in a different way that's what's already provided. That's okay. What we're highlighting here is, again, the data is being pulled straight from Service Pro and Service Pro Mobile. You can then take that data and calculate it. As we looked at labor utilization, though, another popular one is first-time fix rate. Well, since your scheduling is right within Service Pro, this is where those using the Service Pro schedule board can actually highlight when an appointment is indeed a follow-up visit. Using the power of BI then, we can start to look at, show us our total number of orders, calculate the number of orders that indeed have an appointment tagged as a follow-up or return trip, And then using that data, calculate a percentage off of it to give us a first time fix rate. Again, it's right there. We can calculate it. Along with that, this is where I'll throw out there that you're in control of what the visualization actually is. And so, sure, we can pull in data, we can calculate the data, but that's where you can actually choose how you want the data presented. And so if you want just that simple metric, that simple number, great. If you want it in more of a running table, if you want it in sort of a bar graph, you can do and choose as you see fit. Thinking about those 6 critical KPIs, the next one that we'll touch on is customer satisfaction. How is that calculated directly in the solution? Well, this is where Service Pro can send automated text and email alerts to your end customer when service is complete. Those notifications can capture survey results. Those survey results can be captured and calculated. So that way, if we wanted to track CSAT, whether it's an average across all technicians, or maybe we want to break it down by technician, by customer, by date, the data is there. And so in this case, when we think about CSAT, all the way along the right-hand side, we see an average, which is just calculated off of the automated surveys being sent by Service Pro. PM on-time completion rate was the 5th KPI that Andrew had discussed. Well, this is where Service Pro is where typically your contracts are housed. Those contracts have PM cadences and visits. And so this is where our off-the-shelf metric will actually look at what is the ordered date of the visit on the contract versus when did the technician actually arrive on site and complete that. And if those dates are aligned, that means we're on time. And so through that, we're able to run some if functions using our calculations. That if gives us a 1 that we then calculate total number of orders that are on time versus all available orders. 131 out of 138 gives us, in this case, a 95 roughly % PM on time completion. The last metric, the 6th and final metric that Andrew had touched on that we'll discuss in our time here today is average response time and then average technician travel time. Now, first one, average response time. This is where you're creating your work orders in Service Pro. You're also scheduling the appointments tied to those work orders in Service Pro. And using those 2 data points, we're able to calculate what that average response time is. Now, in this case, we're going to look at when was that order initially created, or we could even look at what is the promise date tied to that order. Along with that, we'll look at what is the actual arrival date and time of the technician. What's nice is using those 2 date and time stamps, we can then run a difference, whether it's in hours, in minutes, in days, whatever your preference is. So that way we can then say, how long did it take to go from point A to point B? Once we have that, give us an average. If we wanted to then convert that average from hours to days, that's what we're doing, and that's why we have an average response time of 6.56 days. Lastly, average technician travel time. In the bottom right-hand corner, we see again a different style of visualization that you can choose. In this case, more of a bar graph, rolling month over month. How is it getting this data? Well, the Service Pro mobile user is going to be out there picking up their work orders. I should say appointments tied to those work orders. This is where they can log their travel time. And along with that, the mobile app can also track true mileage going from point A to point B based on latitude and longitude stamps when they go en route and arrive on site. Using that data, you can then pull that in to report off of it. And so if you wanted to go rolling month over month, show us the travel logs made by a specific technician or all technicians, that's what we see in this case. And so we can look at the travel logs of our specific technician, Scott Smith, and go month over month to see, is travel time per job increasing? If so, maybe we need to look at our scheduling processes. Those are the 6 critical KPIs that we wanted to discuss within our time here today. And as a quick refresher with business intelligence in general, once enabled within your organization, you can manage it at the user level. And so if you wanted to set up defaults where every user sees a specific dashboard on a specific tab within Service Pro, great. Otherwise, every user within Service Pro can have their various dashboards that they check in on the metrics that are important to their role. But with that, that is how business intelligence is embedded right within the Service Pro solution. And it's at this time that we'll then open it up and see if there are any questions in the chat.
Do not see any questions in the chat. We'll hold for a minute or two, see if any come through. While we wait, this webinar